Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Auto Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. Xiong looked at Zhang Yu beside him, beckoned, and said, "Let's get ready to start too. But before you spar with me, I have a request to make. My first request is that during our actual combat training, we don't use any mana, and we use pure physical strength to drive our martial arts, to fight." It was because he saw Zhang Yu's control over his body in the sports competition that Xiong asked him to be his sparring partner. Learning and absorbing all kinds of skills in his physical control can be said to be his biggest purpose for sparring. It is based on this reason that he proposed fighting with pure physical strength, without using mana. Xiong continued, "The second requirement is that in our actual combat training, whoever injures the other party will compensate the other party for medical expenses." Zhang Yu looked at him with a suspicious look. "Are you trying to scam me?" It's no wonder Zhang Yu thought so. The impression Xiong gave him was a very stingy rich man. Xiong continued, "Don't think I'm trying to swindle your money. This is to train to defeat people without hurting them. You must know that in Kung Fu, a real strong person can control every bit of his power, can defeat his opponent, but doesn't have to pay a penny. This should be the real purpose of actual combat training. I have watched your martial arts competition videos. You are fighting with blood and flesh flying everywhere. It's too rough, and not cost-effective." Xiong shook his head. This is a lack of training and control. Zhang Yu felt that it made sense when he heard this, and couldn't help asking, "Did Senior Xinghe teach you this?" Seeing Xiong nod, Zhang Yu thought to himself, did this old Xinghe guy pay a lot of money for fighting before, so he values this so much when training his disciples? He even trained his disciples to be stingy guys. At the same time, Qiu didn't know, when he had arrived outside the door of the training room, observing the situation inside through the open door. When he saw Song Hailong and Bai Zhenjin fighting fiercely, he sighed in his heart. This woman Bai Zhenjin, as expected, not only has her physical strength improved by leaps and bounds, but her actual combat ability has also risen. If I were to go up and fight her, I probably wouldn't last 10 moves. In just 2 months, this speed of improvement is really terrifying. But it is rumored that Bai Zhenjin and Zhang Yu have been invested by Senior Zhang Pian from the 3rd year of high school and became the senior's dogs, and have also undergone the transformation of demon imitating muscles. Thinking of this, Qiu showed a trace of desire in his heart. Damn it, I also want to be Senior Zhang's dog and be spurred by her to improve my grades. But Qiu only dared to think about it, because he knew that if he dared to say this extravagant hope, it would soon be passed to the 3rd year of high school, and then he would be dragged into a corner by the seniors of the 3rd year of high school and be taught a lesson. After all, facing Zhang Pian, who dominates the list of grades and has a net worth of hundreds of millions, at least 80% of the people in Beilong High School want to be her dog. It's a good thing that even high school students can't grab. How can Qiu, a mere first-year high school student, even think about it? This good opportunity that I can't even get in line for was snatched away by these 2 guys? At this moment, Qiu couldn't help but show a hint of jealousy in his eyes when he looked at Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin. Just then, the battle between Zhang Yu and Xiong officially started, and once again attracted Qiu's attention. I saw Xiong and Zhang Yu walking towards each other at the same time, approaching each other step by step. In the next instant, accompanied by a bang, the arms of the 2 had slammed together. And this impact was like a signal. Accompanied by the mutual impact of fists, palms, arms, elbows, and other positions, loud noises burst out one after another, like thunder exploding in the training room. In the blink of an eye, the arms of the 2 had burst out with heavy after images, fighting fiercely together. Outside the training room, Qiu was concentrating on watching the battle between Zhang Yu and Xiong. Suddenly he felt 2 more people beside him. It turned out to be number 35, Bear Man, and number 36, Wolf Man. Seeing Qiu's gaze sweeping over, the 2 mustered up their courage and said, "We also want to see the fight between Brother Xiong and Brother Zhang Yu." Qiu snorted. Since he had already punished the 2 of them, he did not stop the 2 from being studious at this moment. At the same time, Xiong's attacks in the arena became more and more fierce, especially his figure began to move around Zhang Yu at high speed, like a storm, bombarding Zhang Yu from all directions. On the other hand, Zhang Yu stood firmly in place, like a flat boat in a sea storm, giving people a feeling of precariousness under this tide. Bear Man exclaimed, Brother Xing'an is so strong. Just with physical strength, the speed and power that erupts completely crushes us. Brother Zhang, you won't be able to hold on, right? You blind guys. Chu Qiu snorted coldly. Zhang Yu was able to win the first place in the physical competition because of his understanding of power and his mastery of energy skills. His ability to use force to fight and shift energy can be called the pinnacle in the first stage of high school. In Chu Qiu's eyes, Zhang Yu was not a flat boat at all, but a fortress poured with countless reinforced concrete, as stable as Mount Tai no matter how bombarded it was from the outside. At this moment, he heard Yu Xing'an, who was moving at high speed, let out a long roar and said excitedly, Not bad, not bad. It's been a long time since I fought so happily. You are indeed much more durable than little Xiong. In that case, I'm going to use my full strength next. Yu Xing'an looked at Zhang Yu in front of him, as if he was looking at an extremely excellent target. He thought to himself, usually when facing students of the same grade, I'm worried about paying too much money, so I don't dare to fight with all my strength at all. But with Zhang Yu's ability, even if he faces my full strength, he won't be easily sent to the medical room, right? Thinking of this, Yu Xing'an smiled slightly and said, But don't worry, just like what I said just now, if I hurt you, I will directly reimburse your medical expenses. The same heavenly martial heart refining technique was running in the eyes of the two, so that when their eyes collided, it was as if their respective fighting spirits were colliding in the air. And after saying the sentence about reimbursing medical expenses, the aura on Yu Xing'an's body suddenly changed. In the next moment, the third eye in Yu Xing'an's mind was completely opened at this moment. First of all, it gave him a 360 degrees sense of vision around his body. Then the tentacles extending from the third eye suddenly tightened, instantly enhancing Yu Xing'an's ability to gather power from every muscle, like an extra set of nervous systems. Boom. Yu Xing'an's palms brought up a sound of dragon roars and elephant howls, and slammed towards Zhang Yu. The latest novel is first published on 69 books BA. Before the palm arrived, the air was frantically crushed and pushed away, bringing a suffocating feeling. It was the dragon elephant mountain crushing palm that was being pushed to level 8 by Yu Xing'an at this moment. This palm technique, which can be driven by pure physical strength, was created by a senior expert from the civil engineering major of a university, when he observed elephant monsters and flood dragons moving mountains and filling the sea in the wild construction site. And the biggest feature of this palm technique is to imitate the power of dragons and elephants. The palm force is extremely powerful, like a mountain torrent erupting and a tsunami hitting the face. The essence of it lies in the exertion of strength, paying attention to using force to overwhelm people, being unstoppable, and erupting all the power to smash all defensive means into pieces. At this moment, after Yu Xing'an's whole body strength was highly gathered, the power of this palm had already far exceeded the level of the first year of high school. Zhang Yu's expression was calm, and he stretched out his hand to block, and was about to unload the opponent's palm force. Bang! In an extremely dull loud noise, the palms had slammed together. And Yu Xing'an's third eye, coupled with the full concentration state of the heavenly martial heart refining technique, made every movement of Zhang Yu's borrowing and unloading force, every undulation of every muscle, so clear and so profound at this moment. It is through this observation that he wants to quickly learn and imitate the other party's movements, and learn Zhang Yu's control and driving of physical strength. Yu Xing'an watched his palm force being transmitted downwards, along Zhang Yu's steel-like muscle fibers. Watching Zhang Yu take 3 steps back, stepping out loud noises on the ground, and unloading the palm force to the ground. Yu Xing'an's eyes were full of brilliance, as if he was looking at a priceless work of art. This kind of power control is really too beautiful. I want to learn you. So he flashed his figure, had already closely followed, and once again slammed a palm towards Zhang Yu with the sound of dragon roars and elephant howls. Show me again. At the same time, also in a state of full concentration, Zhang Yu observed every slowed down movement of Yu Xing'an, observed the other party's every move, and tried his best to resolve the other party's offensive. After a moment of fierce fighting, Yu Xing'an felt that the full concentration state was approaching its limit, and the physical strength of both sides was no longer at its peak, and the moves were no longer perfect. So Yu Xing'an stopped and said, Let's rest for a while and then practice. If the state is not at its peak, the training effect will not be optimal. Yu Xing'an sat aside, recalling the battle process just now, recalling the various skills Zhang Yu showed, and striving to harvest and absorb them, and transform them into nutrients for his own growth. He thought to himself, this Zhang Yu is indeed my best whetstone. When I use different attack methods to learn all the skills on his body, and cooperate with the growth rate of my physical strength, I am afraid that no one will be able to beat me in physical strength, in the future high school stage. Not far from Xing, Zhang Yu, who also sat down, looked at the feather book that appeared in front of him. Dragon Elephant Mountain Crushing Palm Level 0. Zhang Yu thought to himself, is this the palm technique that Xing just used? He casually searched it on the internet, then frowned as the right to use this palm technique cost 200,000. Damn. If I really learn this palm technique, wouldn't I have to pay 200,000 first before I earn much money for training him once? But recalling the domineering and fierce force when Xing used the palm just now, Zhang Yu became a little tempted again. Especially when he thought that this kind of martial art, that can be driven by pure physical strength, represents strong scalability, can be applied to all aspects, and is a high-quality technique for laying the foundation. Why not secretly learn it and not buy the right to use it first? At worst, I'll hide it and not use it usually. Zhang Yu was a little hesitant for a while, but considering that he had not yet reached the cultivation requirements of this technique, he temporarily put this matter aside. Just then, Xing, who was opening his phone, asked, "Have you clicked on the link that I asked you to click on last time? Seeking monthly tickets." Hearing Xing's question, Zhang Yu's face darkened, and he said speechlessly, "Too lazy to click." Xing advised, "Why don't you click? There are talisman coupons inside when you watch ads, and you can use them yourself." Zhang Yu was surprised and said, "Talisman coupons?" Xing nodded and said, "You know how much talismans cost. You watch a few ads every day to save talisman coupons, which is a kind of talisman practice that can make your talisman skills stronger." Zhang Yu sat down next to him, and finally couldn't help but ask, "You are a disciple of Xinghe Zhenren, right? Do you also lack this little money?" Xing shook his head, and said slowly, looking like someone who had been there, "Country's biggest surplus is rich people, and its biggest deficit is money. Money is cultivation, is potential, is future, and no one in this world doesn't lack money. Even a strong person like me has to learn to save money. Every penny saved is improving my foundation and potential. If you want to go far on the path of immortality, you must not only learn to make money, learn to spend money, but also learn to save money." Xing turned his head, looked at Zhang Yu, and said, "Otherwise, when you suddenly discover a crucial cultivation method, or spiritual root, or dharma body in the future, and you scrape together money, but you are just a little short of being able to afford it, what should you do? Money is potential, and when you find that your potential is exhausted, and you can't take the next step, you will regret not saving more money in the first place. Saving a little money now can allow you to take a few more steps in the future." Zhang Yu nodded slightly when he heard this, feeling that what the other party said made sense, so he picked up his phone, and clicked on the link the other party sent. After resting for a few minutes, the two fought fiercely again. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours passed. But everyone felt that they had gained a lot. Song Hailong felt that his martial arts experience had improved. Xing learned a lot of energy-wielding skills through Zhang Yu's performance and improved his physical control. In addition to martial arts combat experience, Bai Zhenjin could also receive 20,000 yuan in tuition fees. And Zhang Yu, in addition to receiving 22,000 yuan in tuition fees, also had the opportunity to learn the Dragon Elephant Mountain Shattering palm and incur a 200,000 yuan debt. However, a moment later, when Xing transferred the money, Zhang Yu was slightly stunned when he saw the 30,000 yuan he received. Xing smiled and said, "Sorry, I accidentally transferred too much. Could you please transfer it to my other account?" Although he felt a little strange, Zhang Yu still transferred 8,000 yuan to the other party's other account. Time passed slowly as Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin went to school, practiced, tutored, and sparred every day. The days came to late April. On the rooftop this afternoon, a dark shadow was seen floating in it. It was clearly exposed to the dazzling sunlight, but no matter how the sunlight shone, it could not disperse the heavy shadow. It was Zhang Yu who was practicing the Great Sun Qi Si. As the Great Sun mana in his body made a roar, this breathing technique, that could only be practiced in the mid-stage of Qi refining, was finally pushed to level 10 by Zhang Yu. Under the operation of the level 10 Great Sun Ki Si, the shadow transformed by Zhang Yu became more and more profound, as if it was about to completely swallow all the surrounding brilliance. As the blazing brilliance continued to pour into his body, the Great Sun Ki Si in his body also operated more and more violently, and streams of Great Sun mana seemed to be roaring like magma, absorbing all the light, and gradually refining it into a mana in the Dantian. Zhang Yu knew that as the Great Sun Ki Si was raised to level 10, he had once again entered a period of rapid mana growth. In addition, Zhang Yu felt that his body became more lively and agile as it was irradiated by the sunlight. It was as if every cell and every piece of flesh in his body was cheering and accelerating his growth. Zhang Yu knew that this was the effect of the level 10 Great Sun Ki Si. As the light shone, it accelerated the metabolism of the body and improved the body refining efficiency of the cultivator. The disadvantage was that the longer the metabolism was accelerated, the more the cultivator's lifespan was shortened. Damn it. This Great Sun Ki Si is obviously the most time-consuming, but it also shortens the cultivator's lifespan. Zhang Yu shook his head. Although he cursed inwardly, he didn't intend to stop. In Kongshu, where there are pitfalls everywhere, the defects of the Great Sun Ki Si are nothing. Besides, he can change to other breathing techniques in the future. Even if the Great Sun Ki Si runs for a year and a half, it will only shorten his lifespan by a few weeks. Using this price to improve body refining efficiency is within his acceptable range. The Great Sun Ki Si, combined with the crippled ox sacrifice heart technique, can not only steadily improve mana and Dao heart, but also improve body refining efficiency. Zhang Yu thought to himself, Fuji, this guy is still good at picking cultivation methods. While raising the Great Sun Ki Si to level 10, Zhang Yu's mana also increased more and more rapidly, reaching 46.8. However, it was still far from Zhang Yu's goal of 70 mana at the beginning of high school level 3. At this moment, bursts of whistling sounds came from the side. Zhang Yu turned his head and saw Bai Zhenjin's body surrounded by whistling sword energy, like invisible sharp swords slashing through the air. A few days ago, Bai Zhenjin also raised the body-piercing sword ki to level 10. In addition to her fingertips, she could attack opponents with sword ki from all over her body, as if she was wearing an invisible sword armor, integrating offense and defense. Under Fuji's guidance, Zhang Yu asked Bai Zhenjin to use her bonus to buy a set of sword techniques called Invisible Sword Technique. This is a kind of assassination sword technique that can specifically hide sword ki, hide killing intent, and even hide sound. It is the sword technique that Bai Zhenjin is currently using body-piercing sword ki to practice. This set of sword techniques is still very suitable for Asian, who is taking the martial arts path. Zhang Yu could feel that although she didn't say it these days, Bai Zhenjin's practice had become more and more diligent. Every day, mana, Dao heart, physical strength, and various martial arts were practiced in turn. She was improving almost every moment. Although after that conversation with Zhang Pianpian, Bai Zhenjin usually joked with Zhang Yu, made money together, and practiced together, she seemed to be the same as before. The most new small say in 6-9 book bar first release. But Bai Zhenjin's heart was anxious. Reach the level of high school level 3 within 4 months, Dao heart level 6, mana 70 units or more, physical strength 7.5 or more. Only in this way will there be a chance to pass the foundation establishment exam. The pressure of the foundation establishment exam kept coming, like an invisible monster chasing after her. She secretly made up her mind, I want to become stronger. Strong enough to pass the foundation establishment exam. Strong enough to never watch AU be helpless because of me, but I can't say a word. Strong pressure, extreme desire, constantly turned into a super driving force in Bai Zhenjin's heart, driving her to pursue stronger power, better results, and pass the foundation establishment exam, and enter the top 10 with Zhang Yu. It can be said that in Bai Zhenjin's short life, she had never so frantically desired to pass an exam. The spiritual root in her body also seemed to become more lively, with the strong desire in her heart, constantly promoting her practice. At the same time, Zhang Yu finally bought the electronic secret book of the crippled ox sacrifice heart technique after pushing the Great Sun Ki Si to level 10, so his savings were reduced by another 30,000. Fortunately, Zhang Yu had earned a lot of tutoring fees and sparring fees these days, and unlike before, he had to buy Hunyuan pills to practice red marrow Hunyuan Ki so his savings still had more than 260,000 at the moment. Just as Zhang Yu was looking at the bank balance displayed in his hand, Fuji said, 260,000 seems like a lot, but after you also cultivate the crippled ox sacrifice heart technique to level 10, you will have to fully cultivate the red marrow Hunyuan Qi to improve your physical strength. To practice red marrow Hunyuan Qi, you need to consume Hunyuan pills, which cost 30,000 each. On average, you eat one every 3 days, which is 300,000 per month. In addition, if you want to pass the foundation establishment exam, how can Tao heart and mana be enough to rely on the passive practice of to level 10 cultivation methods? You also have to spend money to rent spiritual veins to improve mana and borrow spiritual space to exercise Tao heart. It is easy to spend tens or hundreds of thousands a month on these two items alone. The so-called spiritual vein is a place with a high concentration of spiritual energy. In ancient times, it was called a blessed land. Now it is called a spiritual energy ecosystem protection zone. Not only are the tickets expensive, but the accommodation costs inside are even more expensive, but the improvement of mana far exceeds the daily urban environment. Fuji continued, you are also taking the sports track of the foundation establishment exam. Physical strength must be outstanding. In addition to Hunyuan pills, you must still use other body refining medicines. Listening to Fuji's narration of the various expenses, a wry smile appeared on Zhang Yu's face, because he knew that what the other party said was correct and there were many more places to spend money next. Moreover, it was not just him who had to spend money. If Bai Zhenzhen wanted to keep up, she would definitely have to spend money with him. Looking at the silent Zhang Yu, Fuji thought to himself, there will always be a time when you can't help but take the initiative to propose hunting evil gods. Zhang Yu thought that in Kongshu, no matter what means are used to improve oneself, they are all inseparable from money. After I cultivate the crippled ox sacrifice heart technique, Tao heart, mana, and physical strength, we'll all need more money to improve. Suddenly, Zhang Yu thought of his previous renting a house in his moments. He thought to himself, I know so many rich people now, maybe through their channels, renting spiritual veins, spiritual realms, buying Hunyuan pills, etc., can save some money. At this moment, Bai Zhenzhen said from the side, Yuzi, aren't you going to Xian today? Don't forget to bring my things. Today, Zhang Yu was going to Xian not only to be Yu Mulan's sparring partner, but also to rent the house that Yu Mulan said. Looking at Zhang Yu's leaving back, Bai Zhenzhen reminded, remember to collect Yu Mulan's potion. Zhang Yu rolled his eyes and made up his mind not to do such a poor thing. He didn't want to collect the sweat of rich people. Seeing that he didn't respond, Bai Zhenzhen repeated, did you hear me? Although we have earned some money, there will be more places to spend money in the future. Our financial pressure is very tight. We can save a little if we can. While speaking, Bai Zhenzhen handed a large water bottle to the other party. Here, take it. Use this bottle to collect the potion when the time comes. Zhang Yu reluctantly took the large water bottle, a trace of humiliation flashing in his heart. Damn it. Being poor is really uncomfortable. Following the address provided by Le Mulan, Zhang Yu arrived at an apartment building outside Xian High School. The antique apartment facade, with its carved beams and painted rafters at the gate, shimmered in the afterglow of the setting sun, as if draped in a layer of brilliant golden gauze, appearing both understated and luxurious. Zhang Yu felt that the apartment he used to live in was like a pigsty compared to this. As he stood in front of the gate, the glass door opened automatically, and a voice came from inside. Mr. Zhang, your check-in information has been registered. Please follow the signs to your room. Following the purple arrows on the floor, Zhang Yu arrived at room 101. As the door opened automatically, Zhang Yu was sprayed from head to toe with a purifying mist as soon as he entered. Then he saw Le Mulan sitting cross-legged on a futon, silently breathing and meditating. You've arrived. As Zhang Yu entered, Le Mulan slowly stood up. She was still wearing her thick school uniform on her upper body, but her long pants on her lower body had been taken off without her noticing, leaving her in a pair of sports shorts, revealing a pair of straight, snow-white long legs. Anyway, the pants are going to be torn, so I took them off first. You don't mind, do you? Zhang Yu lowered his head helplessly and said, do as you please. Le Mulan picked up the apartment room card from the side, and handed it to Zhang Yu. From now on, this room will belong to you and Bai Zhenzhen. You only need to pay 2,000 yuan per month, including internet, electricity, and water. But I have one request: if I want to come here to practice with you in the future, Bai Zhenzhen is not allowed to be in the room while we are practicing without my permission. Lemulin thought to herself, I'm not ready to engage in close combat with the two of them yet. Zhang Yu frowned and said, you have to tell us the time in advance before you come, right? You can't just come whenever you want. What if we're busy? Lemulin nodded. That's natural. I will make an appointment with you every week, and I will try to arrange it when Bai Zhenzhen is not around. Saying that, she handed the room card to Zhang Yu and continued, then let's begin. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours passed. Lemulin walked out of her private bathroom, having already taken a shower and changed into a new school uniform. She sat on the windowsill and rubbed her slightly bruised legs. Then she took out a Dao Heart buffer and inhaled it, a comfortable expression on her face. She was in a good mood today. After completing the training with Zhang Yu, she felt that her mysophobia had been reduced a lot. In addition, her physical control had also improved in her wrestling match with Zhang Yu. This Zhang Yu really has talent in terms of physical fitness. After graduating from college, he should be able to become a good body refining coach, right? Lemulin turned her head and looked curiously at Zhang Yu, who was wiping the floor. As Zhang Yu was wiping the floor, Fahaimai reminded him, don't forget to put the potion in the bottle. Bai Zhenzhen has urged you several times. Lemulin, who was beside her, looked at Zhang Yu looking at the water bottle with a hesitant expression, and she seemed to understand something. Can't accept this kind of potion. Can't get over it psychologically. Lemulin said in an experienced tone, you'll get used to it. People still have to learn to actively adapt to the environment. You can't get over it psychologically now, you feel disgusted and dirty, but as long as you do it a few more times, you will slowly adapt. Zhang Yu frowned upon hearing this. I'm already trying very hard to adapt to this crappy place. Looking at the sweat in front of him, that smelled fragrant, looked sweet, and should taste good, Zhang Yu sighed. But there are some things in this crappy place that I still don't want to adapt to. Lemulin tilted her head and said, then spend money. Money can change the environment. If you buy the medicine yourself, you don't have to drink this. Zhang Yu came to Lemulin and smiled. Then do you have a channel to buy medicine? Can you sell it to me cheaper? Lemulin said lightly, spending money can solve it now. But one day, you will encounter things that money can't solve immediately. The scene of losing to Zhang Yu in the martial arts competition flashed in her mind, and she said helplessly, at that time, you can only actively adapt yourself. Zhang Yu said with a smile, let's talk about the future later. Lemulin stared at Zhang Yu, as if she saw herself in the past, who wanted to solve everything with money, and only wanted to use money to block poverty. It's just that the Zhang Yu in front of her is a different kind of poor person from herself. Lemulin suddenly smiled, put on her pants, and walked towards the door. Okay, you can send me the medicines you want on your phone. I'll have someone sell it to you at 20% off. Zhang Yu asked, is the quality as good as what you use? By the way, is there any nerve filler or Hunyuan pill? Lemulin had already walked out of the room. As the door closed, only her clear and cold voice was left. Just as good, there should be. Thinking that he could buy Hunyuan pills from Lemulin at a 20% discount, Zhang Yu was overjoyed. Next, to practice the body refining technique Crimson Marrow Hunyuan Qi, he would have to spend 300,000 yuan every month to buy Hunyuan pills. A 20% discount will save 60,000 yuan at once. More than an hour later, Bai Zhenzhen came to the room. She first touched the body refining equipment in the room, then looked at the toilet, then tested the soundproofing effect of the quiet room, and then looked at the room service such as laundry, cleaning, and food delivery. Among them, there are also cheap synthetic foods available for food delivery, so that Zhang Yu and the others can eat whenever they are hungry. After Bai Zhenzhen looked around, she said with a look of surprise, damn, the conditions here are a bit good. You can practice at any time. Is it really only 2,000 yuan per month? Zhang Yu nodded, and then explained Lemulin's request. Bai Zhenzhen said, these are all small things. Is there a lease contract? Looking at the electronic contract sent by Zhang Yu, Bai Zhenzhen said expectantly, now we can apply for an intercity travel permit, and we are one step closer to passing the foundation establishment exam. Zhang Yu nodded and said with emotion, I didn't think we would be able to live in this kind of house before we got into college. Then Zhang Yu talked about buying medicine from Lemulin at an 80% discount. Bai Zhenjian nodded repeatedly after hearing this. Great. This woman uses high-quality good medicine, being able to purchase goods through her channel, and still get an 80% discount. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but laugh, feeling that her and Zhang Yu's hope of passing the foundation establishment exam had increased. A moment later, Bai Zhenjian couldn't wait to walk towards the meditation room. I'll try practicing in the meditation room first. The latest novels are first published on 69shu.com. Zhang Yu then turned on the lights in the room one by one, planning to try the effect of cultivating the great sun qi here, at night, with the lights on. As the lights shone, he immediately felt the great sun mana in his body become slightly active. Although it wasn't as intense as during the day, it still had about 20–30% of the effect. Since Lemulin waived our electricity bill, should I buy some high-power lights? After moving into the new apartment, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian then traveled between the school, the apartment, and the dark study gang every day, constantly moving towards the goal of passing the foundation establishment exam. Several days later, on the subway in Xiong City, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian were leaning together. Bai Zhenjian was breathing in spiritual energy, and Zhang Yu was running the remnant ox selfless mind technique in his mind. Since raising the great sun qi to level 10, he had begun to cultivate the remnant ox selfless mind technique. At this moment, accompanied by his visualization, it seemed that a great ox with broken limbs, blind and deaf, was crawling forward in his mind, never stopping. Along with this visualization, a hint of joy seemed to rise in Zhang Yu's heart, as if no matter how bitter or tired he was, as long as he could move forward, as long as he could improve, it would be good. Remnant Ox Selfless Mind Technique Level 5. Zhang Yu thought to himself, this mental technique is indeed the same as the Desolate Ox Soul Suppression Mind Technique. There is an implicit condition, that is, hope. At least there must be a way forward, to perfectly display this mental technique. More than 10 minutes later, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian came out of the subway entrance and walked to a skyscraper in the city center. Looking at the towering building that seemed to pierce the sky, a smile appeared on the corner of Zhang Yu's mouth. This was the Xiong Group's office building in the center of Xiong City that he had visited before. However, last time he came here to try out cultivation techniques and do odd jobs. This time he came here as a spokesperson to shoot an advertisement. After registering at the front desk, they followed the instructions to the shooting site. As soon as Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjian got out of the elevator, they saw posters of Xiong Group's advertisements. What fetal muscle building classes, to make the fetus more confident after birth. Elderly longevity classes, live one more day for every day you attend. There are also health insurance nemesis training classes, how to bankrupt your opponent within 3 moves. Looking at the advertisements here, Zhang Yu felt more and more that the Xiong Group was wealthy and powerful, and its business scope was wide. Zhang Yu said, the Xiong Group's customer base is really wide. Isn't it? Bai Zhenjian said aside, although it is said that the Xiong Group's business scope is mainly in education, they can educate everyone. From fetal education to the elderly, wouldn't they turn everyone into their customers? Only the dead have not been educated by them now, but I think it will be soon. Just as Bai Zhenjian was ridiculing the Xiong Group, the two unknowingly stopped in front of another poster, their eyes focused on Zhang Pianpian in the poster. Talisman True God Secret Scroll, East District 12 City Joint Entrance Examination, the first choice of tutoring materials for Zhang Pianpian, the #1 Talisman High School student. Compiled by Xiong Group in conjunction with the 8 Gods of the Righteous Path, gathering tens of thousands of talisman examples, ensuring that every buyer has a god to tutor them. Ordinary version 888,888, luxury version 1,888,888. Zhang Yu felt that his eyes were blurred again. How many 8s is this? How can I not calculate it? You can't even calculate 880,000 and 1.88 million. You really have a poor aura. Bai Zhenjian looked at Zhang Pianpian in the poster with bright eyes, and said enviously, did foster mother also work as a spokesperson for Xiong Group? I wonder how much her endorsement fee is. Then she looked at the East District 12 City Joint Entrance Examination, Talisman #1 inch part, and sighed as she the #1 talisman, in the 12 City Joint Entrance Examination. Zhang Yu knew that the first layer of Kongshu had many, many cities. After all, it was more than 20 million square kilometers in size, and there was no sea, only land. The number of cities was, far beyond any country he knew in his previous life. And this East District 12 City Joint Entrance Examination is a joint unified examination held every year by key high schools in 12 cities in the eastern part of Kongsha Layer 1. All the examinees are senior high school students, which is considered a rehearsal for the college entrance examination. She was able to get the number 1 in Talisman in the 12 City Joint Entrance Examination. Xiong Yu became more and more curious. How on earth did sister raise her talisman level to this level? This should cost a lot of money. So when Bai Zhenjin went aside to find the contact person, Xiong Yu pinched the prayer beads on his chest and whispered, "Do you know why her talisman level is so high? What do you mean by the Shinto you mentioned last time?" Hearing Xiong Yu's question, Fuji thought to herself, trouble. This guy really cares about his sister. Fuji knew that if she didn't answer properly, it would only make Xiong Yu more curious. So, after thinking for a moment, Fuji said, "The so-called divine path is about being noticed early on by the 8 divine deities, and then signing a contract for cultivation. Not only can you obtain resources, but you can also receive guidance from the gods. Especially in the way of talismans, they can truly master the relevant techniques, modify various parameters of the talismans, and even customize their own exclusive talismans, directly borrowing the power of the 8 divine deities. Unlike you guys who can only foolishly draw on the register of talismans, and once the money is spent, you can only stare blankly at it. I once saw a true talisman expert fight another talisman user. With one move, the report talisman froze the opponent's bank account, leaving them staring blankly at their register of talismans." Jiang Yu asked, "Does embarking on the divine path mean you can use talismans even without money?" "Of course not. What god are you praying to if you have no money?" Fuji said, "But those who embark on the divine path have high loan limits. They are all innate borrowing saint bodies, with unfathomable potential." Fuji sighed, "Every time you think you've finally bankrupted them, they can borrow another sum of money, and their combat power skyrockets on the spot. They become stronger after borrowing, so these guys are best at breaking through during battle." Hearing this, Xiong Yu already understood a little. This is the difference between internal personnel and ordinary users. Talismans also have real techniques. And being noticed early on by the 8 divine deities. Xiong Yu recalled those memories of his sister, from his original body's mind. It seemed that Zhang Pianpian had started to change from elementary school, becoming more mature, smarter, and more assertive. It was just that Xiong Yu was too young at the time, and was either being criticized or beaten by his sister every day, so he didn't realize the strangeness. And at this moment, although more curiosity and doubt surging into his heart, the point that Xiong Yu cared about most was so many benefits. Xiong Yu said solemnly, "Then what's the price? What is it?" This is Kongshu, and Xiong Yu didn't believe any stories about righteous gods appreciating the talent of mortals, accepting them as disciples, and teaching them to become successful. In the Kongshu world, any gift from a rich person, or a god, is inevitably marked with a price early on. Fuji had already prepared an answer for this, and said at this moment, all talents who sign a contract with a righteous god, and embark on the divine path, need to join the 8 divine deities after graduating from university, and work as divine personnel for free for several decades to several centuries. Hearing this, Jiang Yu gasped. They actually have to work for free for so long? His sister has been downgraded from a worker, all the way to a true beast of burden. Fuji continued, "Of course, people who want to embark on the divine path must also have a talent." Jiang Yu asked, "What talent?" Fuji chuckled, "They must be poor. After all, it's not just the rich who are born that way. Those who are born to be beasts of burden also exist. If your family isn't poor enough, you can't become one." Damn it, Xiong Yu was speechless for a while, and could only sigh that his family was exceptionally gifted. Observing Xiong Yu's expression, Fuji knew that she had gotten away with it this time, and thought to herself, "You should worry about yourself." Recalling Zhang Pianpian's performance, Fuji thought to herself, judging from this woman's performance, the righteous god she signed with is probably a great god-level figure, involving divine personnel arrangements above the 10th level. When Xiong Yu goes to university, he should know that this is not something he should be concerned about. Not long after Xiong Yu and Fuji finished talking, Bai Zhenjun called him over. Together, they met with the person in charge of Xianyang group, and were then arranged to go to the dressing room. Inside the dressing room, Yuxing and Song Hailong were already waiting. This time, several people with top rankings in the sports competition and the background of Xianyang group came together to shoot an advertisement. Xiong was swiping through advertisements on his phone, glanced at the two who came in, and greeted, "Yo, you guys are here too." Song Hailong, who was seizing the time to breathe, nodded at the two of them, and continued to cultivate diligently. It was only Zhang Yuan by Zhen's current achievements that made them look at them with admiration, which led them to take the initiative to greet them. If Zhao Tianqing had come in, these two white dragon people would probably have chosen to ignore him, collectively turning into cold icebergs. Zhang Yu took the initiative to strike up a conversation again, asking, "Do you guys have any channels for spiritual veins or spiritual realms?" Xing's eyes lit up, and he stopped swiping through advertisements, asking, "What? You want to rent?" Zhang Yu nodded. "Do you have connections?" Xing chuckled and said, "Spiritual veins won't work. This stuff is very scarce. Every spot is occupied. If you want to use it, you can only rely on renting, and you have to queue up. I don't have any connections to introduce to you guys." Song Hailong suddenly said from the side, "For spiritual veins, you should go to Zhang Wenwu and Huyan Tao. Red Pagoda Pasture is the largest landlord in Songyang City. The three large spiritual machine ecosystem protection zones, within 100 kilometers of the surrounding area, are all operated by Red Pagoda Pasture." Hearing this, Zhang Yu nodded secretly, keeping this matter in mind. Xing added, "Although spiritual veins are impossible, I might be able to think of a way for you when it comes to spiritual realms." The spiritual realm, a spiritual world jointly created by the 10 major sects, is also a place that Zhang Yu considers similar to a virtual network world. Precisely because of the spiritual realm's special nature, it has functions such as teaching, exams, and tempering the Tao heart. It is said that the higher the level of Khonshu's upper echelons and the deeper the realm, the greater the influence of the spiritual realm and the more functions it has. As a golden core true person from the upper echelons, Xinghe true person also has many assets in the spiritual realm, and even has his own spiritual realm cave dwelling. Even when located on the first level, he can occasionally travel to the upper echelons of Khonshu through the spiritual realm. But for people in the lower levels of Khonshu who don't have enough cultivation, especially for the poor on the first level, the restrictions on the spiritual realm are very large. Even the number of daily access targets, all have strict restrictions. If you want to access the spiritual realm of Khonshu's upper echelons, you need to go through layers of approval. As you can imagine, wanting to temper your Tao heart through the spiritual realm is inevitably another business. At this moment, Xing thought for a moment and said, "I'll go back and ask my master. I'll give you an answer in a while." A moment later, the makeup artist belonging to the group came over, only to see that the leading makeup artist was petite but enchantingly beautiful. Whether it was her eyes, nose, ears, every part of her body was perfectly proportioned, like a perfectly proportioned statue. The makeup artist said, "Everyone, my name is Miaoyun, and I'm your image designer for today. Today's advertisement requires you to capture the changes before and after you receive the imitation demon muscle." As a mature salaryman and veteran beast of burden, who hasn't been fired in 50 years, Miaoyun is proficient in skills such as reimbursement, shifting blame, attending meetings, and making plans. She is also the record holder for the longest meeting time in Xianyuan Group's Songyang branch. With her rich experience, she knew very well that the high school students who came to shoot advertisements were often very individual, so she couldn't give them a choice. She had to directly issue instructions to them. She said, "We will first put makeup on you to make you look relatively thin, poor, and weak." Zhang Yu understood that this was to create the feeling of being a poor, ugly loser before the surgery, and a rich, handsome man after the surgery. Next, Miaoyun first came to Song Hailong's side, thinking to herself, trouble. She hated changing the image of such a large person the most. It took a long time and consumed a lot of mana, but the performance was the same as that of a small person. But fortunately, he's not as big as a body-refining internet celebrity. Miaoyun felt a pang of bitterness in her heart when she thought of the last time she broke the fake muscles of a body-refining internet celebrity and hadn't finished paying off the compensation even now. "I don't know if my overtime application for next month has been approved. I can't live without overtime." Although there were thousands of thoughts in her mind, Miaoyun's movements were skilled and swift. Only to see her fingertips repeatedly tap on Song Hailong's body, and strands of mana were injected into it. Song Hailong's muscles suddenly contracted and became smaller, and even the position of his bones began to change. Especially when Miao Yan's fingertips pressed on Song Heilong's eyebrows, cheeks, and other parts, Song Heilong's image and temperament changed greatly. From the original strong little giant, he instantly turned into a thin, wretched appearance. After completing this, Miao Yan rubbed her palms. Obviously Song Heilong's body was relatively tough, and it took her a lot of effort to change him. Zhang Yu, who was on the side, was slightly surprised, because he found that he couldn't see Miao Yan's hand speed at all. This makeup artist's strength was far above them students. He sighed slightly in his heart, as expected of a salaryman from a large company, their combat power is stronger than high school students. Seeing Song Heilong's sudden change, he sighed in his heart, it's like kneading clay. At the same time, he also realized that Miao Yan's appearance was so perfect and exquisite, it should also have been kneaded by herself. Then, Miao Yan walked to Xiong's side, and after pointing at the other party, she said, "Good magic resistance, but reel it in now." Xiong said embarrassedly, "Horizontal training technique, can't reel it in." Miao Yan sighed helplessly. Compared to large customers, the customers she hated to encounter the most were those who had practiced horizontal training techniques. The difficulty suddenly changed from kneading plasticine to kneading steel bars, which was even more damaging to her hands. She sighed in her heart, "It looks like these hands won't last through this year and will have to be replaced." When Miao Yan came to Bai Zhenzhen's side, she observed the other party's appearance for a while and suddenly said, "Little girl, I really like your face shape. Will you sell face molds?" Bai Zhenzhen's temperament was cold, and she said lightly, "Do you think I would grow up to this age without selling face molds if I looked like this?" "That's true." Miao Yan smiled, "Tell me your name, and I'll go collect one." As a senior makeup artist and image designer, Miao Yan has always collected various face molds to keep up with the latest trends, otherwise she wouldn't be able to pass the company's annual technical assessment. In her opinion, Bai Zhenzhen's face mold belonged to a kind of technical reserve. As for Song Heilong and Xiong just now, those were purely rich people's plastic surgery faces, used to maintain their image or hide their own information. Listening to the conversation between Bai Zhenzhen and Miao Yan, Zhang Yu's eyes flashed. Although he had been in Pyeongchu for almost half a year, a lot of knowledge and information was still deposited deep in his mind, and had not truly converged into his consciousness. Hearing their conversation at this moment, Zhang Yu gradually remembered that in Pyeongchu, looks could also be sold. A good-looking face itself could be quantified into money. He quickly took out his phone, logged into the face model website, wanting to see how much his face was worth. As a result, after the facial recognition was completed, he received an answer that the face model had already been sold. Looking at the transaction record, it was only sold for 2,000 yuan, with a one-time buy out of 20 years of copyright. There was also a user review, handsome, but without any distinctive features. Zhang Yu thought to himself, "I knew it, the original owner had already sold it. Alas, sold it off cheaply. If I had waited until I was a little more famous before selling it, the face model copyright would definitely be worth more." He then casually searched for valuable face models and found that even the faces of celebrities, stars, and internet celebrities were generally not worth much, because they were purely appearance-based face models. The most valuable were functional face models, such as the faces of the 8 divine deities, which also had bonus effects on talismans. Another example was a face model with charm effects, which was one of the production tools for some special industries. There were also various strange and non-human face models, which were also expensive due to surgery and body structure involvement. Just then, Miao Yan had come to Zhang Yu's front. As she pointed at Zhang Yu felt a cold magic power being poured into his body, but it quickly stimulated the Great Sun magic power that was constantly circulating throughout his body. Along with the Great Sun magic power flowing back, Miao Yan also quickly withdrew her hand, thinking to herself, "Is it the magic power cycle constructed by passive breathing? I only managed to cultivate passive breathing for the first time, when I was in my 3rd year of high school, right? Alas, another rich kid. I'm so envious." She blew on her fingertip and said, "Little handsome guy, you burn me. Collect your magic power." Hearing this, Zhang Yu immediately stopped the passive breathing of the Great Sun Qi. Several hours later, as the advertisement shooting was completed, the first installment of the 600,000 yuan endorsement fee after tax, 200,000 yuan, arrived in his account. Zhang Yu looked at the deposit that had soared to more than 480,000 yuan, and his heart suddenly became cheerful. Several days later, the time came to the end of April. Unknowingly, with the promotion of the new body refining technology, sporadic purple people, black people, and beast people had begun to appear on the campus of Xiong High School. At this moment, in the classroom of the first-year demonstration class, the homeroom teacher, Su Haifeng, with electric light flashing in his eyes, was promoting Xian's super metabolism surgery to the students. In order to improve student performance, Xian Pharmaceutical and the school jointly launched a preferential package for super metabolism surgery, just to allow the majority of students to inject medicine comfortably, safely, and worry-free in the future. If there are difficulties at home, and you can't afford the surgery fee, you can come to me to apply for a loan. Below, Zhao Tianxing looked at the surgery application form that had been distributed, and his heart gradually hesitated. Is it better to imitate the demon tendons? Or is it better to have super metabolism? Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjun both use imitation demon tendons, while super metabolism is not enough to just do surgery. In the future, you will have to spend more money to buy medicine, and the burden on the family will become greater and greater. There were also discussions among the students around him, and obviously many people were as hesitant as him. Zhao Tianxing asked Qianshen, saying, "Which one do you choose?" Qianshen glanced at Zhao Tianxing, thinking that although this guy's scores were a little low, his moral character was okay. So Qianshen frankly said, "I originally wanted to do imitation demon tendons first, then do super metabolism surgery, and finally do black dragon bloodline. After all, these are all means to steadily improve scores." Hearing this, Zhao Tianxing couldn't help but cursed a dead rich person in his heart. Qianshen continued, "Unfortunately, after consulting, I found that these whole body transformation surgeries are mutually conflicting, and in the end, I can only choose super metabolism." At this moment, Su Haifeng on the stage continued, "Other new body refining technologies are just taking shortcuts to obtain a temporary increase in physical strength. Only super metabolism surgery improves your cultivation speed for a lifetime, and broadens your future cultivation limit. If you don't seize the time to do this surgery now, you will only be thrown further and further away in the future, and eventually become a waste. I'm afraid you won't be able to stay in the demonstration class." Zhao Tianxing looked at more and more students around him signing the surgery application, as if he saw groups of purple people running forward frantically, throwing himself further and further away, and he unconsciously stepped one foot outside the door of the demonstration class. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Tianxing finally gave up the idea of saving money for his family and reducing the burden, and signed his name on the super metabolism surgery application. Su Haifeng stood on the podium, looking at the students who were starting to sign one by one, as if he saw the future of Songyang High School and even countless high school students in the entire Songyang, turning into groups of purple people, black people, and beast people. He thought to himself, "Oasis, Xianyun, Xian, Hongtu, what exactly do they want to do? Could it be that, as the master said, they are planning something?" At this moment, he glanced out to empty seats and asked, "Where did Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin go?" He quickly said they skipped class. The electric light in Su Haifeng's eyes flickered slightly. If other students dared to do this, he would let them know how the paper on the application prospects of electric shock in high school teaching was written. But Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin, if they directly pull out their competition certificates and bring up teachers from the magic class, martial arts class, and physical education class, even Su Haifeng would find it difficult to handle. Forget it, Zhang Pianpian will be leaving in a month and a half. Someone will naturally take care of these two guys then. Below the stage, he looked at Su Haifeng in disappointment. Even this great director, the demon king of the first year, turned a blind eye to Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenjin's truancy. The school board's son couldn't help but feel unfair. Does having good grades mean you can do whatever you want? At the same time, on the rooftop, the image of the remnant ox that Zhang Yu was visualizing in his mind let out a long roar towards the sky. His remnant ox sacrifice body mind art had finally broken through to level 10. And as the remnant ox sacrifice body mind art reached level 10, a surge of striving intent welled up in Zhang Yu's heart. It was the determination to never regret even in the face of death, to persevere through 100 setbacks, and to keep moving forward, despite being covered in wounds. Forward. Forward. This coincided with Zhang Yu's current mindset of betting everything on passing the foundation establishment exam and breaking into the top 10. making his operation of the remnant ox sacrifice body-mind art even smoother. His Tao heart became even more rounded and stable, and he felt that his will was even stronger than before. At the same time, at the moment the remnant ox sacrifice body-mind art reached level 10, a stream of insights into tempering the mind poured into his mind, giving him a new control over his body. This was the effect of the level 10 remnant ox sacrifice body-mind art. He felt that he could empty his mind at any time, temporarily reduce the consumption of brain power, and then increase the metabolism of his whole body, accelerate the recovery of injuries, and improve the efficiency of body refinement. Breathing technique and mind art have finally all reached level 10. Feeling the remnant ox sacrifice body-mind art constantly operating in his mind, and the great sun ki ocean naturally circulating within his body, he felt that he was one step closer to the Foundation Establishment Certificate. The newest novels are first published on 69shu.com. He looked at his data on the feather book. His Tao heart and mana had been steadily improving during this time. Tao heart level 4. Mana 48.1. Physical strength level 4.96. These days I have been focusing on cultivating the breathing technique and mind art, but I haven't had a chance to exercise my body. Now that the great sun ki ocean and the remnant ox sacrifice body-mind art have finally reached level 10, I can spend most of my time on body refinement. Xiong Yu was planning to take the physical education path of the Foundation Establishment exam after all, so the focus of his cultivation next would naturally be on physical strength. But he also knew that in Kongshu, it was impossible to just practice hard on his own. Fortunately, he now had a complete preparation and plan for body refinement. After school, in the rented house. Bai Zhen leaned against the back of the door, listening to the thumping sounds in the room, and thought to herself, it takes 2 hours. I might as well find a secluded place to practice. In the room, Zhang Yu and Lim Yulin looked serious and were earnestly engaged in dangerous close combat. Lim Yulin's cold legs kept strangling towards Zhang Yu, transmitting terrifying power along with the close contact of skin and flesh. At this moment, Lim Yulin felt the warmth from the other person's body on her legs. Although it was still so hot, she could already control herself from showing such a disgusted expression on her face. She tried to focus on the confrontation of physical strength and learn Zhang Yu's skills in the confrontation. Zhang Yu was also very serious about this training. While confronting Lim Yulin, he rubbed the potion on the other person's body with a serious expression. In this process, Zhang Yu also clearly found that the more intense the battle, the more powerful the absorption of the medicine in Lim Yulin's body, and the more potion was decomposed. For example, her thighs, which showed a trace of flesh under his great strength, felt more and more potion being forced out as he rubbed against them with a cool and slippery touch. Although sometimes he would be distracted by the wonderful touch from the other person's legs, he would immediately focus on the remnant ox sacrifice body-mind art, focus on self-improvement, and put aside all kinds of distracting thoughts. 2 hours later, Bai Zhen knocked on the door and asked, "Is it over?" Zhen, wait a minute, Zhang Yu said. Lim Yulin is still taking a shower and changing clothes. After a while, Lim Yulin finished showering and changed her clothes. She glanced at Zhang Yu, who was still lying on the ground soaked in potion, and said lightly, "Looks like you're used to it." At this moment, Zhang Yu's whole body was evenly coated with a layer of potion, exuding a strange fragrance. Feeling the potion being absorbed through his skin, his muscles, mana, and brain became more and more active under the nourishment of the medicinal power. Hearing Lim Yulin's question, Zhang Yu replied things like, "Drinking it. I would never do. But deliberately washing it off. I wouldn't do that either." In order to save money, to improve the efficiency of body refinement, and to pass the Foundation Establishment exam, Zhang Yu decided to use Lim Yulin's potion to accelerate his cultivation. Lim Yulin smiled slightly when she heard this, and a curiosity suddenly rose in her heart. Especially when she thought that in order to get good grades, in order to go further on the path of immortality, and in order to be worthy of the money invested in her, she had to choose to actively adapt and actively change herself. Could this poor man in front of her really stick to himself and not change? Would he rather leave his high-value potion untouched than drink it? If it were those lower-class students in Xian High School, they would already be licking the floor, right? She thought to herself, can he really insist on not drinking it? What if it's worth more?